call the East Greenbush Central School District Board of Education meeting to order for April 23rd. Board members are all present except for Emily this evening. So with that, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. First order of business for this evening's agenda is Student Council from Columbia. Yes, we have just you today?
Yes, unfortunately, Cole is not able to join me tonight. He is sick, but he says hello and says, "How is everyone?" So currently for the Student Council, we are finalizing our field trip details, and the trip is taking place on May 22nd, and we will be having a day in Boston. We're going to be doing a duck tour, which will tour us around historical areas of the city, both on land and on the water. And then we will be taking a stop at Quincy Market for lunch and then going to the New England Aquarium to finish out the day. So it's going to be very fun. And as the year is winding down, we're just starting to prepare for the annual Columbian Awards, as well as the election of our new executive officers. So that is really all that we're doing for Student Council. But we just wanted to mention that today, the Chamber Singers were invited to be a part of the Rensselaer County DWI Memorial Service. We're very honored and happy to be thought of to share the day of remembrance with family and friends. And we wanted to say thank you to D.A. Donnelly and all the others who made the day special. So thank you. That's all we have for tonight.
Thank you, Ron. So the next item is very special because it recognizes our volunteers. Volunteerism in the district is so strong and powerful in this community. Us here at the board are volunteers, we're elected volunteers, but so many people give back to their community through the volunteering through schools at every level. And I'll turn over to Mr. Simons and Mr. Grignon to this next part.
This meeting is one we look forward to every year because of the opportunity that we have as administrators and board to thank all of the individuals within our community who step up and spend a lot of time in our schools providing programs, extra activities, and support for our students. We wouldn't be as strong of a district without our volunteers. So tonight, Mr. Grignon, our host principal, is going to serve as Master of Ceremonies, and each of our administrators from our schools, as well as our athletic department and our technology department, are going to recognize the contributions that these volunteers make to making our school district so strong. Mr. Grignon.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this very special night. My name is Wayne Grignon, and I'm the principal of Jenay Elementary School. I would like to also welcome the Board of Education, our superintendent of schools, Mr. Simons, Mr. Stiles, our assistant superintendent, Ms. Canna, our director of human resources, and Mrs. Mulligan, our director of business and finance, to Jenay Elementary School this evening. Tonight, we celebrate the beating heart of our school district, our incredible volunteers. Can I get, please, a round of applause for all of our volunteers that are present this evening? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't every day volunteer appreciation? And you wouldn't be wrong with that assumption, but tonight we get to turn the volume way up on that appreciation. Because let's face it, the impact that all of our volunteers have on our schools simply can't be overstated. Our volunteers, to our volunteers, you are the mentors who ignite the curiosity in young minds. You are the tutors that patiently untangle the most complex math problems. You're the tireless organizers who make our school events run smoothly, even when faced with the unpredictable chaos that sometimes is our children. Our volunteers are the folks who keep the library shelves from collapsing under the weight of overdue Harry Potter books. They are also the ones who chaperone field trips, even though the last time they may have been in the zoo was when they were once being chaperoned themselves. Let's face it, our volunteers are the duct tape that hold the school district together. Volunteers are the sprinkles on the cupcakes of education, or it's sometimes, as I like to say, the extra cheese on the cafeteria pizza. The point is that they are essential for us. The truth is that our volunteers wear many hats in our schools. And tonight, we want to celebrate each and every one of those hats. So whether you lend a hand in the classroom, the library, or the cafeteria, please know that your dedication and commitment are deeply valued by everyone in this room. As we move through this evening, you'll hear some stories about incredible things that you've accomplished. We'll have some delicious food and some well-deserved laughter and maybe even a tear or two of gratitude. And don't worry that they will be happy tears. So please sit back and relax and get ready to be showered with appreciation. This night is all about you. Thank you again for all that you do for our schools. I have the privilege of kicking off this evening, so I would like to welcome the Janae Elementary Volunteer Recognition candidate for us. Can I please welcome up Erin Plonka up to the podium with me? Mrs. Plonka. This year, on behalf of the Janae School community, I would like to thank Erin Plonka for her dedication and commitment over the years to not only the students, but to the staff and the community at large. I've had the privilege of knowing Mrs. Plonka now for 5 years, and her husband, Bob. I'd like to acknowledge Bob here as well, and her son, Jacob, who's a graduating 5th grader. Since Jacob was in 1st grade in 2019 when I made the transition from Goff Middle School down to Janae. Over the past 5 years, she has served in both the volunteer and leadership roles within the Janae PTO. Whether there is an event for students at Janae, Mrs. Plonk and her husband can be found helping in any way possible to ensure that families and children at Janae have a wonderful experience. These events include, but not limited to, the Janae Jaguar Jog, Janae's Ice Cream Social, our Trunk or Treat events, where Mr. Plonka, you've lifted a countless number of hay bales for us, and the Janae Movie Nights, helping and providing not only organization talents, but also supervision for students. Mrs. Plonka's willingness to offer a hand to assist does not go unnoticed and is greatly appreciated both by myself and also the Janae school community. Erin, it has been extremely rewarding to have partnered with you on so many activities for our school community. On behalf of the Janae school community, I want to thank you for all that you have done for Janae during your time with us, and I hope that you will continue to offer assistance and a helping hand at Goff Middle School as Jacob transitions next year. Thank you so much. As a small token of our appreciation, certificate of appreciation from the Board of Education and a lovely plant and some, Jacob, that's really for you, the cups and the cupcakes. Thank you so much, Erin. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Mr. Mahar, the principal of Belltop. As this evening, Belltop has their educational fair, so he was unable to be here this evening, so I will be reading the Belltop nominees. Our first one is Stephanie Pereira. Mr. Mahar writes, "It is fitting that our honored volunteer could not be here tonight because she is busy giving her time at Belltop Education Fair. This event is just one of many volunteers that Steph has given countless hours of support. And I can truly use the word countless with confidence because Steph does so much for our school that is behind the scenes without fanfare, and it is impossible to tally how much of her time that she actually gives to Belltop. In fact, Steph is more like a magician than just a volunteer. Magicians make the amazing happen without allowing you to see all the steps that they've taken to put on their awe-inspiring performances. This is Steph Pereira. She is involved in an event at Belltop. She makes it amazing. Everything seems to just happen. Brochures and signs are beautifully designed and printed. The perfect photos are taken and shared. Videos are created, bring tears to parents and teachers' eyes, all without betraying the hard work of many, many hours that she has put in to make sure everything is perfect for our students, our teachers, and our school community. We don't know where she finds the time to do it all. Steph is the mother of 2 busy Belltop students, Quinn in 5th grade and Griffin in 1st. Both of her children are very involved in sports and other activities, and we all know how much time that those things can take. But we have been fortunate that Steph consistently carves out time to volunteer with the Belltop PTO in her child's classrooms and also in the school library. As a talented professional graphic designer, Steph has created all of the Belltop communications over the past several years. If you've received the Belltop PTO newsletter in the past 5 years, look at the PTO Facebook page or Instagram page, or seen any of the materials for Belltop special events like the book fair and family reading night, you will recognize Steph's creativity and artistic ability. Her talents elevate every event with which she's involved, and Belltop has greatly benefited from her touch. Steph Pereira doesn't limit her volunteer contributions just to graphic design, although with the amount of time and energy that she expends in all those areas, no one would blame her if she did. No, she is a familiar face in the classrooms at Belltop as well. She's at every special event taking pictures for the yearbook. She often volunteers in the classroom, in the children's classrooms, and every Thursday you'll find her giving more of her time by volunteering in the library. Steph Pereira's generosity to the Belltop community is magical, and we could not be more grateful for all of her support. So congratulations to Steph. Belltop's second recipient tonight, I believe, is in the auditorium. I'd like to welcome up Mary Kinley, please. Apparently, Mr. Mahar didn't tell you to sit closer, so you didn't have to make the big walk. All right. Tonight, I am delighted to recognize someone truly special, Mary Kinley. Mary is not only just a Belltop parent who volunteers, she's also a part-time teaching assistant who works half days here at Belltop. She greets her kindergarten students every day with a smiling face, but Mary is so much more. Working with kindergartners requires a special kind of person. It takes patience and compassion, and Mary has both in overabundance. She creates a safe, nurturing environment for our youngest learners, helping them blossom and grow. Mary is the sunshine in our classrooms, the tireless helper behind the scenes, and a constant source of support, both for teachers and for students. She has been a savior for us on many occasions. For years, Mary has been my go-to person. She has saved the day numerous times when staff members were absent and there were no substitutes. She has filled in as a substitute teacher in every grade level, including art, music, library, and physical education. In addition, Mary has also filled in a variety of teaching assistants, as well as subbing for monitors during lunch and recess. She even covered several days as the principal's secretary. Wow. Thinking about all the times we needed something, big or small, chances are Mary was there, ready to lend a hand. Mary goes above and beyond on a consistent basis. The countless hours she volunteers with the PTO and fills in at Belltop, the extra mile she always walks, is a testament to her unwavering commitment to the school. But it is not just about the time she gives, it's a smile that never seems to fade. The positivity that fills every room she enters and the encouragement she offers to everyone around her. Mary truly believes in the potential of each and every student, and she goes out of her way to help them succeed. Mary has 3 lovely children that attend Belltop, Mason in grade 5, Owen in grade 4, and Nora in grade 2. Mary is like a mother to so many children at Belltop. This school isn't just a workplace for Mary, it's her family, her home, and that feeling of community, of belonging is something that she shares with everyone that she meets here. So Mary, on behalf of the entire Belltop school community, we want to thank you. Thank you for your dedication, your positivity, and your unwavering support. You are an inspiration to us all. Please join me in giving Mary Kinley a huge round of applause. Here's your certificate. And also a beautiful plant and some special treats you can share with your kids.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything. Have a great evening. Right. Now I would like to welcome up to the podium Red Mill Principal Helen Scolacci.
Thank you, Mr. Grignon, and thank you for being here, and congratulations to all of our wonderful volunteers for East Greenbush Central School District. I would like to invite Mary Petro up to stand with me here at the podium. Mary Petro is our Volunteer of the Year at Red Mill School, and quite honestly, Mary, I could have nominated you and selected you every single year because she is our #1 volunteer at Red Mill School. Mary has been part of our PTO, volunteering her time and her heart to our school for many, many years. She has taken on many leadership roles, chaired many committees, and progressively has become more and more the face of our PTO, including acting as our president for the last several years. And Mary is always full of wonderful ideas. That's one of my favorite things about her. She always has great ideas and is coming to me for something with another new idea, and they're always amazing. She's got great follow through and wonderful organizational skills that helps to grow our volunteer pool, because I think we all know and recognize it is hard to find people that have time to give to our schools and are gracious in giving of their time. So Mary is the queen of recruitment efforts. Every PTO meeting and, whatever opportunity she gets she's just trying to get people excited about volunteering, get people excited to come on in. When we have events in the school, maybe it's popcorn day where we sell popcorn in the cafeteria, or snow cone day, she'll put out a parent square notification, come in and see your child at lunchtime. She has really creative ideas that get people more involved in our school, and it's worked. Her ideas work. Mary is a constant and integral part of all of our Red Mill cherished traditions. She ensures successful and fun events for our students and our families. And these include some of our biggest events of the school year. Our absolute biggest is our back to school picnic at Red Mill, which is like nothing I've ever seen. We have, 1,000 people from the Hampton Manor converging on our backyard and the playground the second week of school in September, where she and a handful of volunteers are slinging burgers and hot dogs and cutting watermelon, running a snow cone machine, and just, creating joy. The event is just a warm welcome to our community right at the beginning of the year. It gets everybody excited about school, and Mary is the leader of that event, and it's an amazing event. Mary also collaborates with all of our event chairs that pull off some really, really awesome things that happen at Red Mill School that many of our school students attend, like our Red Mill School Dance for kindergarten through fifth graders. A bunch of little people in a gym dancing to cool music and playing limbo and fun games, and it's just a great night. And we even have a movie night during the winter where the kids bring their sleeping bags or their squishmallows and their blankies, and they hang out and watch movies, and it's really nice, and they sell tons of candy and popcorn too. Through Mary's hard work and dedication, we were able recently to outfit our library with new furniture after she single-handedly basically organized a library fund run that raised over $18,000 in donations for our school. And she truly helped transform our school library space by replacing our 1950s relic furniture with really colorful and comfortable and functional tables and chairs that we have now in our library that look really great. But most of all, Mary, you're just a one-of-a-kind person. You're valued and appreciated by me and by our whole school community, and you're just a top-notch person. The other thing I love about Mary, she always makes us all laugh. She keeps everybody smiling. She tells jokes, and she's really all about the kids and all about bringing fun and joy to our school. So thank you, Mary. Thank you. Okay, next up is Mr. Michael Harkin, our principal at Red Mill School, or principal at Columbia High School, unless he wants to come down to the elementary.
I guess we're not going off the script there. So I would like to thank my two PTSO presidents. Unfortunately, they are also volunteering this evening. One of their sons has a sporting event, and the other one was helping out with the track meet at school. So they aren't able to be here this evening. Kendra Dervaj and Sue Baker have had multiple children come through Columbia. I first met both of them in the 2019-2020 school year. As you remember, we had a pandemic back then. Kendra and Sue were instrumental in creating senior events, even though their children were only in 9th and 10th grade at the time, helping me plan my graduation that we had on the stage. Sue has taken a role as a treasurer over the last 2 years. We've raised more money in our PTSO and supported more students and opportunities. We pay for the art show, hors d'oeuvres and cookies and everything else that we have. We send 20 kids to prom last year. We bought dresses. So we really have done an outstanding job, and we only do 2 major events. We do lawn signs and we do a cornhole tournament. We felt during the pandemic that we didn't want to keep burdening our families and our parents and asking for fundraisers, so we streamlined to 2 very important things. So Sue has been really instrumental in that. We look forward to continuing that as we go along. And Kendra really is the face of our PTSO. She runs our social media site. This is her 3rd son who'll be graduating, and she has been great in creating the sunrise breakfast for us. She helped us do the parade during 2020 and a lot of events that the seniors couldn't have. We went sleigh riding during the pandemic and things along those lines. So they've been great for the last 4 years, and they will be really missed. They've become close personal friends of mine, and I really do appreciate all their hard work and dedication. And like many of you, they just give so much of their time, thinking never of themselves. So I'd like to thank both Kendra and Sue for their outstanding service for the last 4 years to the Columbia High School PTSO. And up next, we have Dan Garib.
Have to bring the microphone down a little bit. Thank you very much. I would like to recognize 2 wonderful volunteers. They're sitting together, and whenever I see them there together, I think they really might be sisters, and they just never told me. First, I'd like to recognize Katie Sheehan. Katie is the parent of Zach, who's in 5th grade, Logan in 7th, and Riley in 9th. So I first met Katie when her oldest entered Green Meadow. And over the years, I've had a lot of conversations. This is before Wynantskill School District stole her full time. With Zach, when he was only 3 years old, we had a lot of discussions about garbage trucks. Zach would always come in with a little garbage truck, toys. I still have some in my office. But Katie has really spent a lot of time volunteering at Green Meadow School. She currently serves as our PTO treasurer. She keeps the books really well. She brought the whole idea of a literacy fair to Green Meadow, which has kind of morphed into a project showcase over the years. It's very well attended, low pressure for kids, but a lot of fun, and that was really Katie's idea. She also chairs our basket raffle, which is we're collecting items now. So lots of big fun items, and she'll coordinate that for the whole school. Even figured out a way how to do that during COVID and sell raffle tickets through the parent pickup line and wherever we can get money. And also chaired the Pause for Reading program, where we had a therapy dog come in and the students read to the children. So one hard thing about saying goodbye to our 5th graders as they leave to enter the middle school is we often say goodbye to the parents. But our former PTO president, she was at school today, so you can come back too. We always take you back. I will steal from Mr. McHugh, so feel free to come back. But on behalf of the entire Green Meadow community, thank you for your volunteerism, Katie. And next we have Heather, and she is also a full-time teacher. So, you know, they work with kids all day long, and they're still willing to come back and help it. They're apart. You're not together right now. Yes. So Delaney's in 9th grade, so I met you guys at the same time. And Chase is in 5th grade, and he's leaving us, and so are you, but you were always welcome to come back as well. Heather has really been a great help. She's currently our PTO vice president. She chaired a major event that we had for many, many years, the Green Meadow Carnival. It's kind of like Winterfest. Mrs. Komersky's been there. You know what that involves. It's a pretty big deal involving a lot of community members, a lot of volunteers. She did a great job with it. And now she chairs our after school enrichment program, which is run completely by volunteers. And it's a lot of work when the kids are there, but I think it's even more work leading up to it. All the organization, the sign up, the logistics, it's a lot. And it's so well loved by our students and the parents, and we really appreciate it. Also, you were instrumental in starting our color run and helping out with the color run. We do that all in-house. We don't hire an outside company. And it's just been an absolute hit. And we do allow Green Meadow alumni to come back and run. Parents too. So feel free to come back to that. But again, on behalf of the entire Green Meadow community, thank you very much for your volunteerism. You and your entire family will be missed. I will give you your certificates. Next, we have my good friend, Mr. Alvey from the Donald P. Sutherland School.
Gotta put it back up now, Dan. At this time, what I'd like to do is I'd like to welcome up the suits and honors, Cecilia and Farouk, if you could please come up. Leilani and Mina, if you're welcome to join, but you know, it's okay to stay back there. On behalf of the Donald P. Sutherland community, I just want to take this opportunity to recognize Frank and Cecilia for all of their volunteer service, but just their overall support to our school community. Frank and Cecilia, they're the owners of Zia's Pizza in the village of Nassau. They have 3 children that have already graduated from DPS, Gabe, Zach, and Mina. And we have Zavi and Leilani, who are currently students at DPS. As a family and as a member of our community, they're just key contributors, whether it's PTO events, supporting our classroom teachers. I give Frank a monthly phone call for our golden lunch tray, which is a part of our character education program. And while so much of it happens in school, there are things that happen outside of the school that they do. Currently, we have a student that is in Boston that just recently received a heart transplant. And the things that they have done as members of our community have made a difference in that family's life. So it's not only what happens in the school, we're a tight-knit community, and those things have such incredible meaning to everyone. Again, I appreciate everything that you've done to support that family and our school. You truly understand the value and importance of community and the small community that we have in Nassau. And you're always there when I need support, and I appreciate that. Additionally, I'd like to take a moment to thank Cecilia. She took on a big beast this year. She started our school store back up, and that happens during our cafeteria time. Every Thursday, she comes in and tackles the cafeteria and has started our school store again. It's something that, you know, we haven't had. It's, as we say, BC, before COVID, right? And so we haven't had that since then. Like I said, she joins us every Thursday, and the joy she brings to the students it's so great to see. She provides a wonderful inventory of tchotchke things that light up, and you know, every teacher's delight. But the kids love it, and she's really done a nice job transitioning that back into our school. Our students have the opportunity, and one of the main reasons I wanted to see that back in our school, and provided our boys and girls the opportunity to budget learn how to count back money, things that, I think we take for granted that they don't have as much exposure to, with Venmo and all those things that, people don't really handle cash as much anymore. Just the processes that she's developed in collaboration with our cafeteria monitors as well. Trying to adjust things to get the most kids the opportunity to work at our school store. She's a true team player. It's a privilege to recognize both of you as our volunteers for the Donald P. Sutherland School community. And on behalf, thank you very much. All right. You gonna pick the cakes? You got the plan? Awesome. Very good. Thank you. They get two? All right, Frank. Another winner. Awesome. At this time, I'd like to welcome up our Director of Technology, Peter Goodwin.
Well, thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to call up a student from Columbia High School by the name of Jacob Marsden. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jacob. Hopefully I won't embarrass him. Jacob, come on over here and just get comfortable for a few minutes. So I need to put this in context for you. We're talking about a person who's maybe 16, 17 years old, okay? And they find it within themselves to volunteer, to help other students in their school. They have a technical background, maybe a little bit of experience, but not a lot of hands-on experience in actually working with technology. So they come forward and they're rare. It's hard to get someone who's 16 or 17 years old to be interested in doing the kind of work that Jacob is capable of doing. But he walked in a year ago, correct? Like this is your second year, right? 2.5 years ago. And the commitment is not like for an event or for a fundraising drive or something like that. The commitment is on his lunch hours or maybe a free period. And this is where he would choose to be. So that's really amazing in someone this young, okay? So Mr. Margoleski, who I would like to have been here, who was not able to come tonight, he's the educational technology specialist stationed at Columbia High School, and he works directly with Jacob and basically would be the role of supervisor. We're just amazed at, in thinking about like, hey, we would really like to recognize Jacob and the effort because he really is a great role model for the other students at Columbia. I did ask Mr. Margoleski a few pointed questions to get some feedback with him. And I'm also kind of jealous that I don't get to spend as much time with Jacob. But I hear about him all the time. He's the kind of individual that no matter where you go, if his name comes up, you're like, oh yeah, he's a great guy, he's so helpful. Just no matter who you talk to, they're going to say that about Jacob. I'm so sorry if I'm embarrassing you. But but I did ask Mr. Margoleski, I said, hey, compare Jacob, what he was like when he first arrived at the help desk and how he is now. And what differences did you notice? Now, for a former teacher, I know the right questions to ask about things. So this is what he said. He said, when Jacob first arrived, he was ready to learn and always willing to lend a hand. He clearly was well-liked and showed a good sense of humor. This year, Jacob has taken on more of a leadership role in the help desk. He can be found lending a hand to Mr. Lina. Mr. Lina is the monitor who works directly with the students, and I. He has become a mentor for the other students. And then I said to Mr. Margoleski, give yourself 20 seconds to jot down any adjective that comes to mind when you think of Jacob. Please share them back with me. Hardworking, talented, funny, knowledgeable, lively, polite, eager. Right? And the last question I had for Mr. Margoleski was, what is your biggest concern when you think about next year without Jacob? And he said, without Jacob next year, I'm mainly worried about how much we'll miss him. He's not just a skilled team member, he's also the life of the party. It's hard to imagine our workspace without his jokes and his laughter. That's quite a statement. We would like to nominate Jacob Mostyn, a senior at Columbia High School who volunteers regularly with the student help desk, and he's done that for 2.5 years, pretty much every spare moment he has. Jacob has given many hours of his free time to repairing Chromebooks and providing technical support to students and staff. He's a valuable member of the student help desk team, but the time has come for Jacob to move on to the University of Albany. And we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize this outstanding young man. It might be a little more useful for you than flowers. It's a gift certificate to the bookstore at the SUNY University. We also do have some things that I can't eat that you might enjoy. Thanks a lot, Jacob. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for sharing him with us. Oh, I did not give him a certificate, but I will bring that over to him in a moment. Okay, I would like to welcome Mr. Jim McHugh to come and present.
Goff Middle School would like to recognize Theta Smith. Theta is being recognized for all of her efforts in supporting the Goff Student Drama Club. So we all know that the annual musical at Goff Middle School creates a lifelong memory for all of our students that participate. It's amazing to see the talents that so many of our students have. But back in the fall, early fall, I was afraid to open up my email inbox because we didn't have anybody that was willing to run that student drama club. So I am grateful to Lori Lavoie, Rebecca Stevens, Andrea Lubers, and Jean Hurt for stepping up and taking the Goff Student Drama Club. But what you'll hear is that Theta was quite busy behind the scenes doing an awful lot of work. So Theta has an 8th grade grader currently at Goff Middle School, Callie Smith. Theta created the Peter Pan playbill and was the ticket committee chair. The playbill layout was very professional, and it included at least a dozen paid ads from local businesses. After Theta finished with the layout, she had it printed at Curtis Printing, and it looked very professional for anybody that had the luxury and the treat of going to see Peter Pan this year. She chaired the ticket committee for about the last 10 or 11 years. Her 2 older boys, Brennan and Colin, were both involved in the Goff Drama Club as well. As the ticket chair, she orders the tickets, sets up the parent volunteer schedule for the show, which is a full weekend. Theta assigns parents to specific tasks such as greeters or the ticket table. She also fills out the pre-sale ticket orders, keeping track of all the sales, the ticket numbers, the money. So Mrs. Mulligan, but all of Theta's work is extremely time consuming, and the Goff Student Drama Club has been blessed to have Theta's competent and reliable assistance for so many years. So Goff Middle School wants to recognize you as the Volunteer of the Year and just say that we are very grateful and appreciative for your efforts, Theta. Thank you. And I think Ryan Jones is the only one left here. Thanks.
Congratulations to all of our recipients tonight for all the volunteer work that they do. For athletics, I'd like to call up Annie Shaw. The Columbia Athletics Department would like to recognize Annie Shaw for the dedication and support she provides the athletic department and the East Greenbush Central School District. Annie has been very active in supporting athletics in various roles during my time in East Greenbush. When I was the Columbia boys track and field coach, I was fortunate enough to have Annie and her husband Bill as parents within my program to her kids Ian and Michael. Whenever there was a need for volunteers at a meet, the Shaws were always there willing to help. You could often find them raking the long jump pit, helping at the pole vault, or timing at the finish line. Whatever the task was, they were always there to help. As the year went on, the Shaws became members of the Columbia All Sports Club, the group doing many behind-the-scenes events and activities to support our athletic programs. Prior to last school year, Annie took over as the All Sports Club president. Once again, a role was in need of being filled, and a Shaw was right there willing to step up to fulfill the duties. Annie has done an excellent job leading the All Sports Club as we near the end of her second year as president. Although her title has changed within the group, you still see Annie willing to volunteer and take on any task. You'll often see Annie at Meet the Coaches Night, apparel sales tables, the Athletic Hall of Fame ceremony, sports recognition events, Winterfest, and more, doing whatever she can to support our athletic programs. You can also still find Annie and Bill volunteering at track meets, which we just pulled Annie from a track meet to be here tonight with us. It goes a very long way to have volunteers that are dedicated and supportive of our programs. We are very appreciative for all that Annie Shaw has done and continues to do for the Columbia Athletic Department. Congratulations.
I just want to give all of our volunteers that are here tonight another round of applause for all the hard work and dedication that they do for our school community. I would also like to turn the event back over to Mr. Simons and hope that we can have a minor break to have some refreshments and also a picture opportunity with our volunteers.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, we'll take a brief recess and allow for pictures, and yeah, we'll come back in a few minutes. Yep.
Congratulations,
All right.
everyone.
Congratulations, yeah. All right, Mr. Simons, couple words?
Yes, I just wanted to take a moment again to thank the volunteers and congratulate them on all their service to our schools. I also want to thank Jean Pangburn, who is our board clerk, who is over here, and Stephanie Reamer, who is my secretary, who left. They do a lot of work putting together the invitations for the volunteers, the certificates, and obtaining the gifts. So they do a lot of work behind the scenes to help this volunteer event be very nice. And I thank Jean and Stephanie for all their work.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Simons. So continuing on with our agenda, we have the draft minutes from March 27th. Michelle and Cheryl were not here. So any changes, corrections to the minutes from March 27th? Seeing none, need a motion to approve those. Mark, second. John, all those in favor? All those abstaining? Approved. Next one is the draft minutes from April 9th. I have no John and no Jen. So we still have a quorum. All right. Any corrections, revisions to the minutes? Seeing none, need a motion to approve those. Joanne, second. Jesse, all those in favor? All those abstaining? Approved. Next item is our board forum. I'll start on my right with Joanne.
I am good, thank you.
Good. Jesse, anything? Jennifer? Mark? John? Michelle? Okay. Cheryl. All right. Just a quick mention. Recently, we're in Janae. We had some emails from Janae parents talking about some class sizes. We made a little adjustment to the agenda, added a document that I hope will give some context and some historical perspective on some class size information that we hope to share this evening. We hear your concerns, we understand them. It's something the board has looked at for many years and make sure that we'll look across our schools and make sure those class sizes are appropriate. So we do have some information to share later by Mr. Simons. And with that, we'll move to the public forum. I lost my connection for some reason. Try again. Just reloading. You have to borrow your computer. Mr. Simons, so, oh, here it comes.
It's happening on the screen too.
Bear with us as we reconnect our Wi-Fi and stuff.
It's happening behind you too.
Is it? Okay. There we go. I think I'm good. You guys? Okay, good. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operation of the district other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns in the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which be considered defamatory or stigmatizing or prohibited and will declare it out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Everything okay back there? You still? Okay, good. All right. Would anyone like to address the board this time? We have, yes, ma'am, come on up to the microphone and just let us know who you are.
Good evening. My name is Ingrid Espinosa. I'm a parent of a student at Goff Middle School. And tonight I wanted to ask the board for your support and your assistance to us parents in trying to get smartphones out of the schools, out of all the schools. The problem starts in elementary school. I am thankful that my principal, Mr. McHugh, he's not here. I know that they implemented a policy of no smartphones at the middle schools, and that is truly a blessing. It really has made a difference. However, the problem still stands, and it's really more, and it's not a surprise to anybody here. I think it's really, it's a parenting, issue, but it's really spilling into the schools. I know the teachers are affected. I know that kids are still sneaking smartphones into the schools, and I really want to ask you, and I want to send you more information. I've been talking to parents about this, and I'm becoming myself more educated on the matter. Many school districts around the country are pledging to become smart-free school districts. And I would like to send you the information so that you can look at it. And I beg you, on behalf of the many parents that I've talked to, my neighbors, my kids' friends' parents, we are desperate. And in addition to reaching out to, it's a mental health issue, in addition to reaching out into like the law enforcement community, because there's a lot going on with, kids are at risk. But I really feel like if the school district really takes a stand, it will only help us. It will back us up. I do want to talk to the PTOs, not only at my school, but at many schools. I have a ton of information and background, and I really want to do a lot in the school district in that respect. But I am looking for the teachers unions, and the Board of Education to really take a stand and help us out. So just wanted to please advocate for that. Anything you can do. I know it's limited, but just related to technology, I do want to say that I feel it's very unfortunate that our Chrome computers, the laptops that the kids have, cannot be filtered for YouTube. I asked one of the teachers if YouTube could be removed from the computer, and I got no response. But I know that our Chrome notebooks are not filtering gaming sites. I know my son comes home telling me stories. You can get through gaming sites and games that look very innocent, but kids can easily flip from one screen to the next, and the teachers, I know, are probably going crazy with this. So very distracting. Do we want to please, do we want to do anything to limit Chromebooks? I've asked the teachers to not send them at home. Can they just do the worksheets instead of looking at the computer? So I'm trying to minimize, but the fact that our Chrome computers can still access, and I know that YouTube I think they filter for inappropriate content, but it's not always, it's not 100%. So anything we can do to filter all this, continue to filter and monitor all these inappropriate websites, gaming sites, that can still be accessed. They look like math games, then they look like shapes and stuff, but they are addictive. So anything we can continue to do to educate ourselves, and really look into things like, there's a lot of websites out there like Wait Until 8th for smartphones, and there's a lot of technology educational sites that are really teaching us adults that games are addictive, and it's just, we need more education, and we need your support in really pledging to become entirely smartphone free. I know many school districts also lock the devices before school and give them to the kids after school. They have locks that, so anything we can do in that regard, and I'll send more information, but I wanted to really say that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yes, come on forward. Yep.
Hello, I apologize. I've lost my voice a little bit this week. I'm Jessica Sweeney, and I was one of those Janae parents of a third grader who sent a message about class sizes. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for the responses. I saw that file tonight about the class sizes. I also saw at the bottom it says that the proposed class sizes for next year are lower than they were 2 years ago, and I really, really appreciate that. I have also an older son in 7th grade, and 6 years ago, I was volunteering every single week in his 1st grade class with 26 kids in it. As a first-time mom, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know to contact the Board of Education. I just knew it was so awful being in that classroom, even though it was one of the best teachers East Greenbush has had. There was just no room to move. There was no room for small groups. And the 26 was just so tough. So I definitely appreciate the effort that you guys are making to make manageable class sizes, and especially for my 3rd grader who his kindergarten year was COVID, and it was tough. So these kids really, really do need those small class sizes because they have a lot of needs that span all sorts of things: English, math, emotional, social, learning, everything. So I just want to say thank you, and I really hope that we can continue to keep those class sizes on the manageable side.
Thank you, Jessica. And we know that that impact is also across our schools. Mr. Harkin and I were talking this morning about, the impact COVID had on all the different levels: incoming, younger kiddos, kindergarten, and then even the transitions from middle to high, and the issues they continue to face. And I think that, as a district, as a board, as a community, we used the resources we had to make sure that we minimize that impact as best we could, provide the supports as best we could. And then we just have to continue to advocate at the state level to make sure that they continue to provide that funding for those mental health supports for our students of all ages as well. So thank you for your comments, both of you. And we'll move on from there. So we'll move to our proposed budget. I'll turn over to Mr. Simons for his reports and presentations. Item A.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to check in with our technology department to just pause for a second to make sure that the slides are available for everybody to see. I think we're in good shape now. So tonight, I will be asking the board to adopt the proposed budget. The proposed budget will be presented to the voters on May 21st, along with some other very important propositions. Our school district starts the budget process in January when the governor releases her executive budget proposal. And I have to go back to January for those that were not here or maybe participating in the meeting or following along the budget process. In January, school districts across our state, and there are 700 school districts in New York State were stunned because the governor and the legislature over the last 3 years had indicated their full commitment to the foundation aid formula. Many districts, when they saw the governor's budget, saw that they were either getting a decrease in school aid next year or less of an increase than they expected, and according to that formula. We were one of the more fortunate districts in that we were getting an increase that was less than what we expected, not a cut going forward from this year to next year. So we began our advocacy efforts to bring our advocacy committee to all the legislature in Albany to talk to them about our needs and our priorities as we continue to want to sustain an excellent school district for our students and our community. And I think in part those advocacy efforts were successful, but in part we were disappointed by the final state aid numbers that came in, and we will continue to work through those numbers as we proceed in what we think is a very positive budget given where we were at back in January. So we really started to look at various proposals of our budget in March, on March 13th. There were 4 meetings at which public information was discussed. And one of the places we left our budget was on April 9th. We had reduced our proposed budget gap to about the same amount that we were expecting to receive in a state aid increase should the legislature and the governor agree to follow the foundation aid formula. We were anticipating about a $527,000 increase. That increase was adjusted because of the inflationary formula that was used, the consumer price index. We were supposed to receive a 4.1% application of CPI yielding $527,000. The governor's original budget proposed a 2.4% increase in CPI, and the governor and the legislature compromised and agreed to a 2.8, which is less than what inflation actually has been on a monthly basis over the last year. So on the positive side, we received a $214,000 increase, and we will be appropriating additional fund balance to offset the difference between the $527,000 that we expected to receive and the $214,000 that we were actually receiving in the final state budget. I do want to pause to thank Assemblyman John McDonald, Senator Jake Aspey for advocating for our district. John McDonald sent me the final information on the state aid that was finalized in the state budget on Friday evening. You may recall that the governor had announced on Tuesday, about a week ago today, that the legislative leaders had agreed to a final budget, but it really wasn't until Friday evening while we were attending the gala that we received the information to be able to finalize the budget. And so Jen Mulligan, our Director of Business and Finance, and myself, we worked over last weekend to finalize this proposal and bring it to you tonight. Additionally, with a lot of thought, we have made a determination to recommend that the board remain within the New York State property tax levy cap, which is very low for us going into next year at only 0.55%. That 0.55% increase in the tax levy yields an additional $323,000 of revenue to our school district. So with the state aid being finalized and the increase of $214,000, the balance of that, we recommend applying an additional $312,000 to appropriated fund balance. You will see that the level of appropriated fund balance is actually less than it was in previous years' budgets. And we have a plan to utilize some reserves that I'll talk about in just a little bit. I wanted to give you a full accounting of the state aid because we not only receive foundation aid, but we have what's called expense-driven aids. Expense-driven aids vary by school district and are driven by the amount of money that a district spends on various operational expenses of the school district and are reimbursed based on an estimated formula. So I have to move closer to the screen because of my 56-year-old eyes. But the foundation aid increase total was 1.6% increase in foundation aid. Total increase was 386,627, where we were anticipating the 527. Universal pre-K We do receive an allocation for universal pre-K, and we are expanding the number of pre-K classes that we are offering this year. That number represents the expense in the general fund budget. UPK aid is not categorized in the general fund budget. It goes into the special aid fund. And that aid is based on a $5,400 per student formula. So the actual amount of aid that we will receive is based on what our number of students is in our program. And it gets captured in a different category of funding, not in the general fund budget. Building aid, you know that we did a capital project in 2017. We have a proposed capital project coming up on May 21st. Building aid is reimbursement of the state for the portion of our previous capital projects that are eligible for funding. And our current aid ratio is about 72% reimbursement rate. So our building aid increased about $1.65 million. That's money coming back and flowing back into the general fund budget, which is offsetting the expenses of the borrowing that has occurred for prior capital projects. This has nothing to do with the proposed capital projects. There's nothing included within the 24-25 general fund budget that has anything to do with the capital project. That is a separate consideration, a separate proposition. This revenue represents money coming back to the district for previous capital projects. Transportation aid, our district receives about 69% reimbursement for our expenses related to busing our students to school. We run 102 buses. We have a very large bus fleet. The portion of the transportation aid that comes to the district that deals with the general operation of the transportation department goes in the general fund. But the reimbursement that we receive for bus purchase aid goes right into the reserve that we use to replace our buses. So this number here, the $4.4 million in transportation aid, represents the transportation aid we receive minus the bus purchase monies that we are reimbursed for, recalling that we bought 8 buses this year and we're being reimbursed next year for those buses. High cost, excess cost aid, we have students who receive special education services that are eligible for high cost aid reimbursement because the expense associated with providing those services that are required of those students is shared with the state. Additionally, we have private excess cost aid. Students that we cannot educate within our own programs are sent on a tuition basis to other sites, and we get reimbursement from the state for those expenses. Hardware and technology, and software, library, and textbooks. So in total, our total aid increase going into next year was about $1.963 million. That includes the foundation aid increase in combination with the expense-driven aids, all part of balancing the revenues that we have with our increasing expenses. Looking at the budget development over the course of the last several meetings, again, we started on March 13th, proposing a $112.4 million spending plan. At the time, considering the tax cap, going up to the tax cap at 0.55%, and the revenues that were being presented in the governor's budget, we had $104.2 million projected in revenues. And we were projecting at that time a $1.9 million gap. We did make some expenditure reductions of about $755,000. That includes not filling about 7 total positions that have been vacated by retirement. We made the adjustment to the budget reflecting a $111.7 million spending plan. And you can see tonight we're proposing that we make no further reductions and that we leave the budget number at $111.7 million. We plugged in our state aid that we received, the increase that we received, about $214,000 additional monies, $104.4 million is now our revenue. We are appropriating $700,000 in reserves. Our district has a strong reserve position. Reserves are accounts that are eligible to be funded for certain expenses approved by the board and in some cases approved by a public vote. Ms. Mulligan made a plan to start to utilize some of our reserves strategically to pay for some of our increases in two expense categories, one being our employee retirement system payments, which are increasing, and also what's called an EBLAR reserve, which is a reserve that we have that can fund employee benefits when people retire, the payment of sick time, accrued sick time, and personal time. So in appropriating these reserves, we also have a plan of how we're going to utilize those reserves, and hopefully over time, as things get a little better, we'll be able to replenish those reserves. Again, I mentioned the appropriated fund balance is an additional about $300,000 additional appropriated fund balance at 6.6. So all in all, that balance is a $111.7 million budget, with closing the gap with the additional aid, the appropriated fund balance, and a tax levy increase of 0.55%. The budget will go up an estimated 2.7%. The taxes will go up an estimated 0.55%, just over half of 1%. Sorry. Peter, can you help me out?
Presentation mode.
Clicker went crazy.
Quicker went crazy on me. Okay. And you can see here that historically, our board has kept our tax levy increases under the cap required of New York State, and over the last 4 years now, well under the cap at 0%, 0%, half 1%, and 0.55%. So the board is not only mindful of the need to continue to sustain high-quality programs, which we are doing in this budget, also making sure that we can do so with providing affordability to the taxpayers. A couple of other announcements before we take any questions. We did also receive some additional good news in the final state budget. We had raised issues around the fact that there are employee shortages in our schools. Because of those employee shortages over the last 2 years, New York State has waived the earnings cap on retirees. There's an earnings cap in law of $35,000. So if we want, as a school district, to bring back a teacher because we can't fill that position with a new candidate, or an administrator, or a safety supervisor, or a bus driver, they can only make $35,000 a year without taking a penalty on the retirement. I'm very glad and pleased that the governor and the legislature have signed that waiver for retirees and put that in place for 1 more year. We believe, based on what we've received in terms of the information, this will be the last year of that. So we'll have to start thinking and planning forward as to how to fill some of these positions. We have 12 people that were working in the district this year serving students, doing a great job, who retired and wanted to come back, and we're able to pay them the appropriate salary to provide those services to the kids. So all in all, as we present this budget, we want to make sure that as we talk about this from now until May 21st, that the public understands that we are preserving all academic programs that we currently offer now next year, including small class sizes that are, as the public speaker said, two years ago, our class sizes on average were higher. We're maintaining our athletic programs, our arts programs, our science programs, our clubs, everything that we offer now, including things that we expanded this year in terms of the athletic offerings that we added. The board was very concerned coming through COVID that we provide more mental health services. So we hired more social workers, and we provide some services on contract with Rensselaer County, Start Children's Center, and other agencies within the community. And we're preserving those mental health supports. And we are proposing a tax levy increase that's within the New York State tax cap. So we're offering the community a positive budget. We had to make some very difficult choices along the road going back to January. I think we've ended in a good place. And I hope that the public will support our budget. And I'll take any questions that the board may have.
Board members, any questions? Jesse?
I just got a comment. I do appreciate the presentation, and I do think it's a tough year, and I agree 100% that there's also a lot of positive elements. I just want to echo that I do feel the concern, of the community, about class sizes, and I think that, what I take comfort in is really the admin team, the experience, and knowing that, we have, everyone here, helping us through this time, and the results, have been excellent. And I think that, and I know, the effort has been tireless, and you're looking very carefully, at how to preserve programming and provide the community with the comfort that they're looking for. So I just want to just thank everyone, for the effort, and just say that we're going to continue to try to do our best to find whatever, we can do. But no, I do thank you, Jeff, and Mr. Simon, and I look forward to continued efforts to see how we could bring that comfort.
Thank you, Jesse. I want to say thank you to the board, because the board, there's a lot of activity that goes on at the board meeting. But there's also a lot of questions, concerns, ideas that flow from the board to our administration, where they say sharpen your pencil. Try to find ways to do things that aren't going to impact the students, balance that with the need to be cautious about the taxpayer impact. We have a big capital project that we'll talk about later on in the agenda. So there's a lot of considerations that go into balancing the budget, particularly when you're not getting as much revenue from the state as you projected, and timing and all kinds of issues that come up. The timing of the state budget being so late, for example, the uncertainty associated with that. So I appreciate that the board is very active and involved in asking questions about the budget. Ultimately, we work together to put together a good budget for the community. I also realize that maybe not everything that we may have wanted to do this year we can do. But what I always say is, in particular with the issue of class sizes, we do a budget which is a spending plan. And that plan does contain flexibility. And we have to weigh what level of flexibility is within that budget as things come up. So class sizes can shift, for example, between now and the end of the school year and over the summer. Kids move from one school to the next within our district. Kids move outside of our district. So that our kindergarten registration was lower than expected, and you'll see that in some of the numbers that Mr. Stiles will. So we expect more kindergartners to come in. So it's typically the case, and it has been for the 8 years that I have, and probably years before, where class size projections are what they are now. They're just projections. They can change, and our board has always strived, and under our administration, we've always strived to have good class sizes for the kids, and you have that commitment from us. Other questions?
Just a comment.
Go, John.
Thank you, Mr. Simons and the administrative team. Budgets are very difficult. And one thing I'd like to point out to the community is that this team of people seated at this table do hear what the community says. But also it's our obligation to tell the truth. And the truth is, as this district moves forward, class sizes, budgeting, and things are going to continue to be a constant struggle. We're almost victims of our own success in a way because people are moving here. And we are going to have to face these situations. In 2008, when the housing industry crashed, we cut jobs here. This was before my tenure. And that's what prompted me to come on the board. And it's taken us a long time to restore the academic excellence and opportunity for all students. And that's the vision of the community. It's not the vision of this board or this administration. This board is reflective of the community. I think tonight, with the volunteerism recognition, it starts with all the people who put this district together. And together, we can move forward through these challenges. As a parent in this district, I've been blessed with great success. but I also was a parent who was a victim of class sizes and growth. And my son in second grade had to drive by the school that was in our district to go to another school. I had a student who was in Columbia High School at the time of the school shooting, as some other people around here have. So we do understand your voice. A lot of us have lived that voice, and it's our experience to move the district in an honest and truthful manner and tell you what is on the table. And sometimes as a community, we have to pull together to offer the best education. I can tell you, this is my last time on the board after 12 years, but I can commit to you that no matter what size our classes are, because of the staff and because of the volunteers, we will always provide an excellent education in this town. And it has been done for a long time. That young student that was here tonight should inspire us all. And Joanne, maybe he'll be a candidate for the Ed Foundation Hall of Fame. But these are the types of folks that we are surrounded by. And I think that we can't lose sight of that in difficult conversation. Let's have the difficult conversation. But at the end, let's come to a consensus on how to provide what is the best education in the Capital District. So I thank you, and I thank the community for their input. Dropping the mic.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Comments? Nope. I would just echo what John and Jesse said. I think that I'm very supportive of the budget. It took a lot of conversation. I think looking at some of the graphics about the tax cap, the growth in the community and the things that we look at overall, being conservative the last few years, being able to kind of tap into some resources and making sure that we're still balancing everything out to help support our families from the tax side, but also from the program side. Those people who still live in the community who don't have kids still want to support our community and they still give back. Me being one of them, my students are my kids are out now, but I still want to give back and stay involved, and we'll continue to do that. And I think that's what makes this community very strong. So I appreciate all the work the admin has done. The input from the community continues. I hope they can support this budget and as well when we talk about the capital project, the great things that are happening in our community going forward over the next several years. So
I just want to take some time to thank Jennifer Mulligan, Roy Stiles, Marissa Cannon, the administrators that are here running their buildings and respective departments, the people that I work with internally. I stretch them, particularly this year, and particularly Jen coming in new and really taking a more fine, granular look at our finances and doing a lot of work on Saturdays and Sundays. And I appreciate what my team has done to help us get to this point.
one last thing too, I know Mr. Dunn just mentioned he's not running. He still has a couple more months on the board and we'll recognize him down the road, but I can just thank him for his service, obviously, and all his kind words and wisdom and thought that he's brought to this board and the comments he's made over the years. So thank you, John, for all your service. We appreciate you very much. And those board members who are running again, thank you. And those community members who are stepping up to run, which we'll talk about down the road. We appreciate their support and coming forward.
So May 8th will be the budget hearing, a formal budget hearing at which we will present the budget to the community and also the information regarding the opportunities to vote as well as the other propositions. I believe that's May 8th at 7 o'clock in the Administration Center. Thank you all for your participation in the budget this year.
So who's got the mic now? Mr. Stiles, are you on now? Is that the next on the agenda? Class size, prior years? You want to kick it off?
Actually, I think I'm going to just turn it over to Mr. Stiles to talk a little bit about our class size averages.
I do. Thank you, Peter. All right. Thank you, Mr. Simons. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of our class sizes and a little bit of historical data as well. So just to start, we do have some contractual guidelines for class sizes. So for kindergarten, it would be at 25 students, and for first grade through fifth grade, it would be 27 students. So just as we're speaking, just kind of have that in the back of your mind. So this first slide here has a lot of information on it, so I'm going to go through it a little bit.
So this is our average class size for the last 5 years and then projected for the 24-25 school year, broken down for each of our elementary schools. So as you can see, in 2019, 2020, for example, Belltop, their average class size K through 5, 19.6, DPS 20.2, and so on. So then if you see there, the total number of students in 1920 school year was 1,778. We had a total of 88 elementary classroom teachers, which gave us a district average of just over 20 students. So you can see that for each of the last 5 years. Now let me just talk quickly about the projected 24-25. So there's a few numbers on there, and there's a footnote. The first number, for example, when you look at Belltop for their projected 24-25, if they were to keep the remaining number of staff, their average class size would be 16.9, DPS 16.9, Janae 19.8, Green Meadow 17.9, and Red Mill 18.8. But as you can see, and as Mr. Simons has mentioned, we are going to be going down 1 total position. So in parentheses next to that, that is what the class size will be if that school does go down 1 position. So again, you'll see that there are, 5 examples of that, but that does not mean we're going down 5 teachers. What would happen is one of the schools would be going down 1 teacher, and that number in parentheses would be their average class size then. Again, we're always working with our building principals. No decision has been made yet. We're really trying to make sure we wait as long as possible to have the most accurate numbers at all of our grade levels. Kindergarten registration is always continuing, so that's always something to think about as well. So as you can see on that, we have over the last 5 years added 7 elementary teaching positions. And you can see the average class size, runs pretty much 2019, depending on the year. So this next slide, very similar. This is just district-wide by grade level. The same thing for the last 5 years, and then what that would be projected for the following year. So the tricky one there is the projected kindergarten. So that 19.6 number is slightly higher than it has been over the last few years. Right now, kindergarten is probably the toughest to project. So that's using our anticipated number of students that we're thinking. So right now, we are not at that number. I've looked back for the last 3 or 4 years. We don't usually actually hit the full anticipated number. We're usually a little bit below that. So if I had to take a guess, I would think if staffing all stayed the same at kindergarten, that 19.6 would probably be a little bit lower. But it is something that if we do get to that anticipated number for kindergarten or go over, there could be some shifting. We may say, you know what, maybe we have a little bit higher class size in 5th grade so that we can have a little bit lower in 4th grade if there's a bubble in a specific building or if it's something district-wide. And then this slide here, again, as you saw in the previous slide, that was the averages. But, as we know, we have 5 different elementary schools, and the average is one thing, but then really seeing, how many students are actually in those classes. So this here is the class size range. So for example, that first number, those first 2 numbers there. So in kindergarten in 2019, 2020, the smallest kindergarten class had 15 students in it, and the largest kindergarten class had 23 students in it. So that's what those numbers are. So again, projected for next year, you'll see those ranges are very, very similar to what they have been previously. If you go back 2 years, those ranges were a little bit larger, especially the higher end of those. And I think that's where, we'll work very closely with the principals to see, where those bubbles may be. I think, with some of the smaller elementary schools, when you have 2 sections at a grade level, when you have, 49 total students, 48 total students, Does it go to 52? Do you do 2 sections? Do you do 3 sections? So that's where kind of those bubbles happen and some decisions have to be made. But looking at our projections, looking at our previous 5 years, I'm very confident that, even though we are going to be reducing 1 elementary position through attrition, that, we're definitely going to be able to meet the needs of our students and have very strong, class sizes. So just a brief summary. Over the last 5 years, we have had all of our classes at every grade level have remained under our contractual class size guidelines. We've never had to go over that at the elementary level. Again, we've had an increase of 7 full-time positions over the 5-year period. Our average class size right now for this current school year is just over 19 students. And based on our current projections, next year, we're going to, again, be right at that 19 students. And just for reference, the average class size 2 years ago, the 22-23 school year, was just over 20 students. And, as you saw, next year we'll be under that. So I'm very confident, and, I think that we're going to be able to meet the needs of our students. I know when we say we're going down a teacher, it does raise a little bit of anxiety, but like I said, I think working closely with the building principals and Ms. Cannon's office, we're going to be able to meet the needs of all of our kids. Any questions?
Questions? One comment. We do our enrollment studies every year. We have, what's the name of the group again?
Capital District Regional Planning
The
Commission.
Planning Commission. We undertook that several years ago to help us do our long-range planning, do projections for several years out. And this really helps guide the administration, the board, to making sure we have the resources and do those future planning to see where our needs might be. And sometimes they are right on, and sometimes they seem to, they're off a little bit. But you can see as a district, the change in the community, how there are more younger families with younger students coming into the district, which is great for our enrollment, great for our community. Just demonstrates again that the quality of education, as John talked about, the life of the community and what we have to offer here is strong. And I think it's really good that we can maintain what we have and continue to work on that.
Thank you.
And then we've been talking about for a long time, capital project, our information plan.
Yes, we are hosting a forum for anyone in the community who is interested in learning about our capital project on May 2nd at 6:30 at Columbia High School. Also, as part of our communication plan with the public between now and May 21st, there are numerous activities that we will be involved in. For example, on Saturday, this past Saturday, I was joined by Ryan Jones, some of our student athletes, and some of the members of the Columbia All Sports Club that were here tonight, and others, where we provided some information at the Little League and Girls Softball Opening Day Parade on the project. And I think on May 4th, we're going down behind Goff to talk with the youth soccer programs about the project. We'll be meeting with all of our faculty, our PTOs. We'll be meeting with some community groups, including the VFW, the American Legion, Elks, and others to talk about the importance of the project. So we really want the community to be engaged in the process before the vote. A couple of key points of information that I repeat at every meeting that I have. The project is bigger than any project that we proposed in the past, and the $116 million price on the project may cause some folks to have sticker shock, as they say, but the details behind that $116 million are critically important for the project and the stability of the district. And some of those details include that the state is going to pay 72% of that project cost on about 84% of the work that's proposed. Capital projects operate very different than the annual budget that we just presented. The monies for the capital project, $116 million, are not in the district's treasuries or bank accounts currently. We borrow those monies and finance that money over a 15, in some cases, 20-year period. And our district is eligible for very low interest rates, not the interest rates that we see now, because we have the best bond rating, that credit rating that a municipality can have. So financing the replacement of roofs, the upgrades of heating and ventilation systems over a 15-year period or 20-year period is cost effective for the school district, and the state pays about 72%. If you can use an analogy to your home, we often get in situations where we need to replace the furnace, replace the roof, and those costs, we're looking at those costs and we're saying, well, that can't come out of my paycheck. So we try to approach it differently and enter into some kind of a borrowing or arrangement where we can get that work done. And that's the same situation with the school district. But wouldn't it be nice if when we were borrowing money, somebody else was paying 72% of it back? And that's the way schools are financed in terms of capital projects. So we can't use that money to offset any concerns that we might have in the general fund budget. We don't have that money. It's a borrowing that occurs over phases of the project as the project is being contracted. So this project will be about a 5 to 7 year construction timeline. We'll enter into short-term borrowing initially and then long-term borrowing. And you can see the building aid that comes back into the general fund budget. That building aid is paid back to us once the final cost report is completed for various phases of the project and submitted to the state. So often it is confusing when you're trying to talk about the general fund annual budget, which is the $111 million budget that I just presented, and the capital project. There are two separate proposals. The operating budget is funded through the local tax levy and state aid primarily. The capital project is funded through a borrowing plan that puts the district in a long-term strong position to maintain our facilities that house the wonderful kids, the wonderful teachers and support staff, and the programs that we have. So they're two separate things. There's really nothing we could do in the capital project or change in the capital project that would give us any more money for the general fund budget, because that money isn't here. Also, later on in the process, we'll present to the board. This is benefiting us to do now because we're retiring debt, and the actual annual amount that is in the general fund budget for the principal and interest payments on that debt, which won't start until probably either the 26-27 school year, maybe the 25, is about the same as it is now. 26-27? 25-26 school year is the same as it is now. So it smooths out the local taxpayers' responsibilities to the point where the project is not going to increase anyone's taxes, because we're retiring debt and moving on the same amount of debt and payments for the next 15 to 20 years. And we have other debt coming off in a few years. So it's very important to understand the distinction. There's nothing we can do in the capital project or different in the capital project that could be used, for example, to restore a teacher position. We're two separate entities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. I think that's important. That this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of those resources, like we said, and then minimize it to the point where there is no local taxpayer impact on this project. So it was important for us to bring that forward now, the amount it was now to do the work that we want to do, the way costs are escalating, things, getting that funding now and getting that approval will help us down the road. So thank you for that very thorough explanation, Mr. Simons.
Thank you.
And again, May 2nd is the public information session to be held at Columbia High School. Moving on to regular business, we have our approval of programs for resident children with disabilities. Need a motion to approve that. I have Michelle, I have second Joanne. All those in favor? Approved. Next one is the adoption of the proposed budget for 24-25. Questions or comments? No? Mark, making a motion to approve that. Second, John, all those in favor? Approved. So the propositions are complete. We'll be ready for a public hearing.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate all the support and the input on the budget.
The next item is the Questar 3 Administrative Tentative Budget for 2024-25. Any questions on the Questar budget? All right. Need a motion to approve that? Michelle, second, Gerald. All those in favor? I was kind of looking at you, Mark, since you're on the,
I don't know if I should
running for
abstain
board.
or not. Yeah.
So we have election of members to the Questar Board of Education, sorry. And we have 3 board members running from the region. Up for another term is our own Mr. Mann. Do we have to do these as separate votes? Or do they do them all at once?
I think so, the way it's
Separate?
on the
Okay.
sheet. I think it's
So
separate,
we
yes.
will, first one is Mr. Mann. Need a motion to approve Mr. Mann. John, second. Go over this side. Jen, all those in favor? You are hereby nominated to the board of
Thank you.
Questar. All right. Good luck. Hope you win tonight, because it's actually all the voting is happening this evening for the Questar budget and for the board members. And they'll know by the end of the day. The next one is, let me just go through my list.
3 people.
Mary Morrow Giroux, who's from the Troy District. Need a motion to approve her. Mark, second. Joanne, those in favor? Approved. And the last one is Mr. Frank Zwack, who's been a board member since I think before some folks were born. 40, 50 years, I think he's been serving on boards. Need a motion to approve Mr. Zwack. Jesse, second. Jennifer, all those in favor? Approved. Congratulations to those folks from East Greenbush anyway, and hopefully they go on to victory in their election.
Just a comment.
Yes.
Thank Mr. Mann. Mr. Mann has always been a champion for making sure that we're providing all different kinds of opportunities for kids, including kids that may not want to go to college or kids that want to go to college, but also pursue career and technical education. So I think he's a very good match to continue to serve on the Questar board. We have the most kids that attend BOCES programs of all of the component districts in Questar, and we're very proud of that effort.
I think it's an important note too, is that we are the largest district in the Questar BOCES region, which is 22 school districts, and making sure that there is a voice at the table with the BOCES board outside of Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Simons, and a member from here should always participate, I think. So thank you, Mark, again for doing it again. Going on to the internal audit report, cash reconciliation.
Turn it over to Jennifer Mulligan.
Jennifer, you have
right.
things in?
you.
Okay.
So our internal audit for the period of 22-23 was recently concluded. The internal audit reports were reviewed with the Finance and Audit Committee back in early March. The first report was the risk assessment, which takes a very high look at the district's operations and business functions. There were no material exceptions noted. And then also there was an extra classroom review and a cash reconciliation review, which any findings were very minor and didn't require any corrective action plan.
Excellent news. All right. So we need a motion to accept the internal audit report. Anybody? Cheryl, second. Joanne, all those in favor? Approved. Janae Playground Project Contract Amendment. This means that basically the construction management, Turner and is taking over that project.
Yes.
Work is going on now.
Yes, the site work is occurring now, and the current playground has been removed, and it's going very smoothly.
Excellent. Good to see it. So I'm sure it's a well-used playground. So need a motion to approve that contract amendment. Jesse, second. Mark, all those in favor? Approved. UPK expansion, as we have talked about before. Any final comments, Mr. Stiles, on the UPK?
No, very excited to recommend 3 additional classes in our locations, 2 through tutor time, 1 being in East Greenbush and 1 in North Greenbush, and then TSL Adventures will be running a class in East Greenbush as well.
So over 160 families will be able to take
It'll be
advantage of those
165.
slots.
165
165.
slots.
Excellent.
And the UPK lottery is tomorrow
Tomorrow.
evening, 6 o'clock, right here at Jeanette.
Good. Very excited to have Beal bring that forward, growing that program. So need a motion to approve the UPK. Jesse, second. Jennifer, all those in favor? Approved. The property tax report card, I think this is a Ms. Mulligan overview. All right, go ahead, Ms. Mulligan.
Yeah, thank you. So part of the annual budget process is New York State collects certain data. So basically, this is just another report of data collection directly related to the budget that's for vote on May 21st. So it basically reflects the 23-24 budget, which is the current year budget, and then the proposed 24-25. It contains certain elements of the property tax cap. It also includes what our current enrollment is and projected enrollments are, and what the actual tax levy cap is, and also what the CPI is for the year. So it contains a lot of different data elements. Then it further also provides on the second and third page just a status of what the district's fund balance is. So it reports on what our starting fund balance is for the 23-24 fiscal year. So that would be as of July 1st, 2023. And then it looks at what the estimated fund balance would be to start the 24-25 year, which we haven't concluded the 23-24 year, so those are still estimates. It also provides details on each of the reserves that the district has, what the balances are as of March 31st, and then what they're projected to be at June 30th, 2024. So it just basically is some data collection that we have to report to state ed in relation to the budget process.
Any questions on the state report card? No. Need a motion to approve that? John, second. Cheryl, all those in favor? Approved. This is all, again, information that we've shared before, just in the state format, correct?
Yes.
And finally, we have an amendment to the EGA about the retirement incentive. This was to extend the retirement incentive. Comment?
Yes, the public may remember that we settled our agreement for a 4-year agreement with the East Greenbush Teachers Association back in February. It wasn't approved until March. Within the contract agreement, there is a early retirement incentive that requires teachers to provide a letter of notice of retirement by February 1st. Well, we settled the contract, which included some changes to the retirement incentive after that February 1st deadline. So in terms of eligibility, this agreement enables teachers who may want to retire to still be eligible for the incentive if they provide the notification by May 15th. There are 4 years of eligibility for the incentive. The first 3 of those years, they get 100% of the formula for accrued personal and sick days. But there are also individuals who've been serving our district beyond the window of retirement who may want to consider this, or who were not eligible for any incentive. So I think there are about 22 people that meet the New York State teacher retirement system qualifications for retiring. This doesn't add any money to the individual receiving the retirement. It just opens up the window of eligibility. We chose to do this because we feel that if there are individual teachers retiring, certainly we don't like to lose our good teachers, but we also pick up a savings in the budget. And given that our budget is constrained next year, we may be able to replace those teachers at a lower salary step and take advantage of what they call the breakage between the cost of the outgoing teacher's salary and the new one coming in. And additionally, we will always continue to reevaluate positions in terms of what savings we achieve and whether or not we have a need or whether or not we have an ability to adjust the budget even further. So it's all up in the air right now until we see how many people submit their letters. I have received one this week of the 22. And again, we never want to lose our good people, but Allison Savoca and I were able to work together on this. We think it's to the benefit of the district as well as the benefit of the members of the East Greenbush Teachers Association.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Simons. Any questions? Need a motion to approve that? Michelle, second. John, all those in favor? Approved. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Marissa, anything?
Not at this time.
Jennifer?
Yes, thank you. I had two committee meetings. Due to the budget season, we delayed just presenting these committee reports. The first was the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. We had a variety of agenda items. One of the things that I had brought to that committee was just an overview on on our investments and what we've been doing and some of that success. It's projected that we'll have earnings in excess of $1 million by the end of this fiscal year. With that, I had provided some information regarding the district's Finance and Audit Committee policy and the charter for the committee to review and to provide feedback at the future to look to include cash management and investments as something that the committee can help advise the board on. With that cash management plan and investment look, I invited a consultant to join the meeting to present on their liquidity data services, which would help assist the district in developing that cash management plan and help really maximize that earnings opportunity on investments. So he provided a presentation. I'll be picking that back up to look about perhaps presenting a contract if the audit committee supports that and the board supports that at a future date. So we'll be looking at that further. We also had our claims auditor, Patricia Torrey. Ms. Torrey distributed information to the committee regarding her role as claims auditor, and that she's, appointed and works for the Board of Education to make sure that all the claims are properly presented, and she provided some information on that. Also, Mr. Michael Wolf, he is our internal auditor, and you just approved the internal audit report, so he had given his report on his risk assessment and the internal audits that were completed for the 22-23 fiscal year. And we just started the 23-24 risk assessment process. Also, Mr. Wolf will be here tomorrow evening to help observe the UPK lottery. So we really, make sure that everything is, up to snuff when it comes to that.
Nice.
So we anticipate our next meeting maybe sometime in May.
I do want to commend Jennifer and the audit committee for looking at the investment policy and yielding those earnings on our interest. I think that was a great move. We appreciate the work you did to bring that to the district.
Jennifer, the only follow-up I have is that the only consultant? I'd like to see others, but I know that we have much more restrictions, what we can do and not do with the money. So I don't know if there's a lot of.
Right. So the services that 3+1 provide is really liquidity data analysis.
Yep.
So there, it's like proprietary in terms of like the software and the types of services they do. So it's not like they're not an investment advisor. Basically, they will help us see through our data opportunities to manage our cash and really maximize our earning potential. They'll also help with taking a look at our banking relationships, because even though we don't outwardly pay for banking fees, there's compensating balance arrangements. And so depending on, where we want to have those relationships, that can provide advantage, and they can benchmark, fees. So they have access to a plethora of data that can help us see things differently to help us manage it differently. And then also they, just because of the work they do, they can help us with the investment policy.
Right.
So
Is there other vendors though that do similar?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So that's part of the due diligence that I'm wrapping up right now.
Great, thank you.
Just to review whether or not that an RFP is actually appropriate or not. So we're looking at that. They're currently on some cooperative programs. So I'm discussing with our legal counsel as to make sure that everything is, I's dotted, T's crossed, and to see if there's.
Yeah, it's hard to do an RFP if they're the only ones who are.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we're looking at. They actually had gone through an RFP process. I think it was a county, and I think they have some piggybacking language. So we're going to look at that to see if that's something, because it is software and not necessarily complete professional services. It's a combination of. So.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on that? Okay. And so I did have another committee meeting. That was the Health Insurance Review Committee meeting, and that was also in early March. And we had invited Highmark, who's one of the primary insurance providers, to to the district. And annually, they provide a report on just the medical trends and health metrics and performance of our medical plans. So Highmark had come in as well as Mr. Knopf, who's with Amsher. That's part of the CASHIC consortium. And they provided a very detailed report, high-level data of where a lot of our primary medical claims come in. It's very interesting data. It helps understand, what types of issues our members may be having. And at the same time, this helps Highmark also presents additional information about new products that they're offering that are already in our plan. So one of the things that these health insurance providers do is that they look to see how they can drive down healthcare costs. So they were also introducing some other products that would be available. One of the things that came out of COVID is, telemedicine. There's some more opportunities related to that. So they shared some information, and we're looking to get some additional materials from from these providers so we can provide it during our open enrollment, which actually starts sometime next week. Also, we had a committee member ask about other opportunities to save funds with retiree health insurance. So we had a discussion regarding that. There are some municipalities that bank, health and basically like the payments we make for retirement that may be deposited into a 403B. Some municipalities have a bank where the district would administer and pay for the retiree health insurance contributions in retirement. That's something we don't have here, but what we do have here is non-elective 403B contributions. What that means, those are tax-free benefits. In other words, the district doesn't pay any payroll-related taxes on that when we do those non-elective contributions, and the employee doesn't as well. So, they're already being provided those tax benefits, and they're in their best interest to be able to monitor and how to administer their own investments into retirement. Also, there's always opportunities for retirees while they're active employees, to make additional tax deferred contributions. So that was basically everything for the Health Insurance Review Committee.
So what I like about you guys taking a chance to look at, what kind of drugs they're going through, what kind of services are, is that sometimes we can steer our benefits. Maybe there's an extra employee benefit that we could provide to them with low cost that might help health and wellness for them. So just, definitely think about those items as you progress. Sometimes those additional employee benefits really, get enhanced because we want to reduce down certain things, and it's a benefit for the employees.
All right, anything?
None at this time.
Mr. Simons?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you for the committee reports. Moving on to the agenda, item 10, table motions. We have none. Old business, board members, anything? No? Okay. We now move to our consent agenda, items A through J. Any questions or comments, revisions to the consent agenda? Seeing none, need a motion to approve that. Jesse, second. Joanne, all those in favor? Approved. No addendums, Mr. Simon?
None.
Anything?
Nope.
New business, board members, anything? No? Okay. And then public forum? Anybody want to address the board again? No? Right. Board forum, we'll start on where was I last time? Cheryl.
Good.
Cheryl. John?
Good.
Mark?
Okay.
Jennifer? Jesse? Joanne? Nothing about the foundation gala?
It's a great
It was a
night.
wonderful
It was a
event.
venue,
Yeah, really
yes.
nice.
Over at Birch Hill, it was a great venue.
Yeah.
Well attended, very nice.
Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar with the foundation gala, it raises money for scholarship opportunities for kids in the district, and it's a lot of work, a lot of volunteerism happening, like we recognized earlier this evening, the volunteers. And these are recognition of community members, Marie McBride, their names escape me, Trent Romer, Neil Swami.
Yes.
Did I get them all?
Lisa
And Lisa Smith, yes,
Yeah.
yes. People who live in the community have given a lot to the community, graduates of Columbia, really doing a lot of things to help support. Some great words, and appreciate it. It was a nice event. Your thing, Mr. Simons, quick comments about this morning's event with the Empowering Youth Voices, student voices.
Yes, I'd like to talk about that and have one other item.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Okay. if that's
So that was
okay.
my,
No,
thing to talk
thank you for that. So,
Assignments.
we discussed last year with our board and our administrative team, including our Global Education Committee, a program that we became familiar with called Empowering Student Voices. And through Questar, we were able to provide an opportunity for our high school kids, as well as 3 other districts, 4 districts, I think, participated in it, in this pilot program, where we train kids to be leaders, and Mr. Harkin was very supportive of it as the high school principal, and I appreciate his direct involvement, to have difficult conversations about how kids treat one another and how respect and dignity and valuing diversity can become part of the culture among the students. And each district student group did a project. Our student did a project to survey the staff. They presented their project today and also had some guest speakers come to talk with them. And I have to tell you, it really, from the conversations I had with the kids, and Mr. Harkin can maybe talk about this a little bit, it was really life-changing for some of them in particular who have felt the need to feel more accepted and also do something about situations in which they feel that students can do more to make the school climate as positive as it can be. So I was impressed by the students, I was impressed by the whole program, and we're going to try to build on it next year. Mr. Harkin, anything to add on that?
I think just the empowerment the students have, the message too is that you may not get done today, but you might be doing something in the future. So I mean, that's really something that a lot of kids don't see that foresight. So maybe I see it, we have some planning works, they go to things a little more inclusive at Columbia High School. So I think that it's good for these juniors to realize that it may not be that, but the next person that faces the same issue today, they may have better formation. The goal is not going to happen. That empowerment.
I'm fortunate enough, I work on the second floor of that building. I was able to come downstairs, visit, hear some of the speakers, introduce myself to the students. I really want them to come and present, hopefully by the end of the school year, or even early for juniors, maybe early next year, to talk about the work they're doing, how they can expand the work with inclusivity and empowering those student voices for change and to meet the needs of our community and school community.
I appreciate that you attended, and
Yeah,
it was a really great
it's fun.
experience.
Good group.
Yeah.
So,
The other announcement that I have is really, really important night on Thursday night of this week. Mr. Alvey, Jack Alvey, our principal at Donald P. Sutherland, is being honored at a dinner at the Century House for being named by CASDA, the Capital Area School Development Association, as Principal of the Year. So congratulations. 19 years, Mr. Elvey. This is Mr. Elvey's 19th year as the educational leader of the Donald P. Sutherland Elementary School, which is a wonderful learning community that has been shaped by his leadership. Every opportunity he has in any given year, although he's been there for 19 years, he comes up with something different, something new, and something innovative to engage his students, his families, and his staff. And so with the help of some co-conspirators within his building who value the leadership, we nominated him, and he's receiving a regional distinction as Principal of the Year, and we're going to be joining him to celebrate on Thursday night.
Excellent.
Congratulations, Mr. Alvey.
I was going to say, despite you being a Red Sox fan, good job. I take it back.
And I just want to thank our folks who spoke at the public forum. And parent voice is so important to us. We're all parents, kids in the district, and we appreciate your input. Okay. So with that, there is no executive session. So we have a motion to adjourn. Jesse, Michelle, all those in favor? All right. Have a great night, everybody. We are adjourned.